Hi, I'm Bill Doherty, and I want to welcome the viewers to another edition of Bill's Bullpen. Bill's Bullpen is a program that's intended to bring folks a little bit more information about things that are going on both in the community and in the region. And today I have a representative of the Friends of the Council on Aging. Is that correct, Arnold?
That's correct.
Okay,
Yes.
and Arnold Carr is here to, let's say, to chat a little bit about that. Thanks for coming.
My pleasure. Glad to represent the Friends. I think they always need exposure, and they do good things and have good people there.
I'd like to talk a little bit about that because, well, I guess one of the things that is on my mind is that I've been involved with veterans activities, and of course there's a huge problem, in that veterans are subject to both suicide ideation and completion, as well as a sense of isolation. And one of the things that the AARP had was that 1 out of 3 in our particular age group, which I would call the golden sunset years, and others refer to it as, who the hell is this old bastard looking at me from the mirror? Where is there an opportunity for people to make connections, and how would they go about it? So I'll leave that to you, Arnold. How would you go about it?
Well, we work closely with the Council on Aging people, and they have outreach people. And we have the food pantry, too. So there's a number of points that can be made that the people can look at. Go to the community center is always an excellent thing. There's a number of programs down there that the council sponsors and the Friends sponsor. And I would say one key means might be the monthly or bi-monthly newsletter that is put out by both groups. It's usually subscribed to for a minimum amount, $10 or $15 a year, mainly to cover postage and whatever. And it gives a good accounting of activities, and there's a monthly calendar there that points out the activities, be it a luncheon, sometimes a free luncheon, which is always attractive, and then other activities, be it yoga or some other event.
I have a cousin who's a couple of years younger than I am, and she goes to something called chair yoga, and I was trying to figure out what that was. And then, because whenever I hear the word yoga, I think of people in the lotus position and stretching and hanging off of balconies and things like that. But chair yoga doesn't seem to be that stressful, but the people that I observed being involved with it get a lot out of it. Are there chair yoga activities going on in the Council on Aging?
There is, down at the community center, yes. And you can think that yoga is a lot of movement and all that, but it's also a lot of stretching. And you can do a lot of stretching in a chair, which really helps a lot. My son, who's in a wheelchair, does 2 or 3 times a week, not chair yoga, but pretty close, stretching muscles and maintaining, movement. It's important, yes.
Okay, well, guys sometimes are intimidated by being surrounded by little old ladies, okay? And are there any opportunities for that both, I guess, how do you divide up the co-ed activities versus the gender-specific activities, down there? I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that.
I see. That actually fits more in the Council on Aging, Bourne Council on Aging, than it does with the Friends, although the Friends support it. But I mean, there are activities, again, you can see in the newsletter, and the activities are sometimes separated if it's appropriate. I can recall the men's breakfast, which they haven't had lately. Many women coming up to me and saying, "When's our turn? How come we can't go?" and all that. And there were, things done to try to correct that and all.
Well, in the parish that down at St. John's, Father Tom, Tom was talking about how he had a lot of activities for women, but not any activities for guys. So he put together a men's group. Now, naturally, it's religion oriented and specific. But I see from that, an opportunity for, let's say, for male bonding in other activities. And I was wondering if there were that kind of things going on. And by the way, before we go any further, what is the difference between the Council on Aging and the Friends of the Council on Aging? Because that confuses me a lot.
The Council on Aging is sponsored by the town and the state to aid those that are getting older. And there are some, Nathan, my son, is about 50, and he's been involved, and people with disabilities, they're welcomed there. And the council really runs the community center, which is a focal point where people can come and, have, like you mentioned, yoga and other things that help out both sexes and all that. The Friends is a nonprofit group, and that's on state law issues. And the Friends support the Council on Aging and did so a number of years ago when they were just forming, helping to make the community building more welcome by furniture and other things they supported. Because the Friends, seeks donations and did so quite well and still does so quite well to provide a means to help out a number of people, be it again on the food pantry or fuel assistance, for example. If there's a problem with a particular household and they don't have enough money to pay for fuel, through the Council on Aging and the Friends, we get together and we will support that and try to provide some funding to help those people in need. And again, like we've talked earlier, as far as activities, craft fairs and whatever, it's in the newsletter and it's on the website too.
What is the website?
I'm sorry?
What is the website?
Well, it's on two websites. One would be the Bourne Council on Aging website as far as activities. So, queuing into that. And also the Friends Council on Aging website. We have a new website that's coming up. We've modified it. Hopefully it's much more user-friendly and all. And during the pandemic, the Council on Aging, with some support from the Friends, distributed some laptops. So people at home, with some instruction, were able to use the laptops and key into the websites or to other programs that they might be interested in.
Now, does the Friends connect with, I think it's Elder Services?
They do, but more the council than the Friends.
Okay.
Dealing with that.
Because I seem to recall that Elder Services had a program of bringing up, let's say, teaching elders computer skills. How would you hook up with something like that?
Boy, with the Elder Services, I would frankly go to the Council on Aging and ask and pursue that. I mean, they've got some excellent staff there on outreach that can help out, and I know one individual down there that is very computer savvy, and he seems to be very willing to help out.
Is that the young guy that is like at the reception as you go in the community center?
Yes, Joel.
Okay. Joel,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I think folks should know that that you've got the community center, and now that the pandemic is sort of over, that there's an opportunity to show up. You mentioned the food pantry. Aren't we past food insecurity?
I'm sorry?
Aren't we past the problem with food insecurity?
There was an interesting evolution during the period of the pandemic. I and many of us thought that it would increase drastically, but there was a number of avenues that people could acquire the means to get the food, either through like the Boston Food Bank, which gives us a number of supplies to distribute and all. But during we noticed that during the pandemic, the pursuit of people coming to us, to the food bank, diminished some. And this sort of surprised us, but
Yeah.
I think it was really a reflection on food stamp increase and other program increase, state and federal, that did that. I mean, I looked last month, for example, and we distributed to 50 households about 8 bags of food for the month. And also 80 that came in. We have not a walk-in, but a curbside service, and 8 bags of food to them, good shopping bag sizes. And some of that is staples, and others by request. They can personalize that food
Wow.
thing.
So how do you become eligible for access to the food pantry?
The main thing would be to call the food pantry and the Bourne Food Pantry and seek an interview there. I think it can even be done over the phone to get the access. The specifics I don't know, but obviously it's based on need.
Where is the food pantry?
The food pantry's on Commerce Road, which is in Monument Beach.
Oh, okay,
Pretty much
Monument Beach,
right off MacArthur Boulevard.
Okay. Is that up a Clay Pond Road, or is it further up?
It's a little further towards Falmouth and Clay Pond Road.
Okay.
It's closer to Barlow's Landing Road.
Okay.
And Barlow's is a good access point to it. And when I've gone up there, like on Monday or Tuesday, especially Monday, that's when food is distributed to cars. I've seen a line of 3, 4, 5 cars, waiting at like 9 to 12 to go in there and acquire some food.
Now, the veterans had a support program for food. They were giving food away at the Mass Maritime Academy. Was the
Yes.
food pantry connected with that?
Not directly, no.
Okay.
No. There'd be some interchange there if there was a need, but no, we're not. We get a lot of food to the food pantry by donations from individuals or groups. And I'm trying to recall, I think in August, I think there were close to 300 pounds of food donated.
What kind of food gets donated?
Everything from cereal to peanut butter to, all of that, the staples,
Okay.
pretty much. Sometimes very, very few candy, sometimes coffee and chocolate and all, and then some canned goods, a number of canned goods.
Well, but if businesses were interested in making donations, how would they go about that?
They could deliver it to the food pantry, or there are a number of places in town, some of the supermarkets, Stop and Shop and Market Basket, have a thing near the door.
Oh, yeah, there's a little box there, yeah.
Yeah, so you can drop it off there. I used to go down once a week, sometimes twice, to pick up food at the community center. It used to be dropped off there. In fact, actually, I think they've started that program up again,
Okay.
leaving it in the front hallway.
Now, is there a particular kind of food that the food pantry is looking for?
Yes. What kind?
Yeah, what kind?
The staples, pretty much.
Well, staples mean different things to different people. Staples could be a stapler from Staples, What are staples?
Cereal, you could have canned goods like vegetables and certainly meat, spaghetti, which might be in a can, which is easy for some people that have limited function to put together on a stove or whatever. Something that's easy to do. Cereals are good, and other goods like mainly non-perishable. As I was thinking of that, I was thinking ham, but you want ham in a can and not
Yeah.
where it would be perishable.
So you don't have refrigeration there, or let's say extensive refrigeration.
We do have a refrigeration at the food pantry, 2 freezers and a refrigerator, and the ability to refrigerate or freeze off-site, like we share with Falmouth. some places. And a lot of that refrigeration, especially freezers, deal with things like for Thanksgiving and Christmas, turkey or ham, and we solicit annually or semi-annually, depending on holidays, goods like turkeys, frozen turkeys, to be brought in, and we'll freeze them and save them for the holiday.
Well, actually, this being the fall of the year, it's that time when I suppose you would invite people to do that.
We do, yes. And that gets put out in the newsletter too. I seem to be harping on the newsletter, but it's a good avenue.
How
for
would I get a
information.
newsletter?
I would call the Friends Council on Aging, which is on, or drop by the office, which is near the Enterprise building on the east side of Main Street in Buzzards Bay.
On the way to the cut rate gas station.
Yes, indeed. There's a good
Yeah.
source. And either there or, like I said, call, and you can acquire it that way with, giving the information, and then the newsletter would be sent out.
Okay. Now, do the Friends of the Council on Aging have fundraisers?
We do.
Okay.
Like I earlier mentioned, the craft fair. We normally have 2 or 3 fairs a year. One before Christmas. I was going to say late in the fall. I'm not sure if we're going to have one this year because it's the aftermath of the pandemic still. And the crafty ladies and the knitters, which are 2 groups that meet down at the Council on Aging, and anybody's welcome to join them and work to putting goods together, which they sell at the craft fair, and the funds go to the Friends Council on Aging as a donation. But you get an activity out of that too. We had a craft fair in June at the Sagamore Inn, which was really well received, and that had a number of tables.
There's good food over there too, as I recall.
They do.
Yeah.
They really do. Yeah. But this was outside in the tent, and one had the ability to go inside and enjoy the food too. And there were, I would say, 20 or more, probably more, maybe 30 tables there from various groups, either selling something they made or representing something that would sell, be it perfumes and whatever.
Yeah. Did you have a table at the Canal Day?
I wish I knew. I don't think we did
Okay.
at that day. Actually, in many cases, we wouldn't have a table there. I mean, but we would certainly encourage other people to have their goods at a table.
Yeah, because I noticed there was a lot of crafts. There were a lot of craft people that at the Canal Day, and it was pretty busy. I guess we've had so few activities that we could go to that when one pops up, people want to show up.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and this is what happened at the Sagamore Inn. People really came in and they were excited to be able to get out. And there were mothers and their children, in and around there. There was caution for the pandemic as far as, encouraging masks and distance and all that. But it was well received. It wasn't, I think we made about $1,500 there, and that's
That's pretty
clear.
good.
So that was that was good. That was good. Yeah.
When I think about activities, do they ever have dances at the Friends?
They have in the past had some dances. I think it's a matter of as we return more to the normal that will be seen again. Other activities they have down there, one that makes is movies. They'll have a movie there once a week.
Yeah.
And that's attracted a fair amount of people.
Now, is that going again right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I understand it is.
Which day of the week do they have the movies?
I believe it's Friday,
And what
late Friday.
what kind of movies do they run?
They'll take requests and put in. So it's a large gamut, but obviously more of the popular ones in the past
Mhm.
that they'd bring in, yes.
Well, I think it's very important to know that when you bring a movie home from the library, which you can, and
Yeah.
you're watching it by yourself, you don't have that sense of being in the crowd kind of a thing, and sort of get that, that being able to talk to people afterwards. So when they show a movie at the community center, do they have a coffee afterwards or something like that to sort of bring people together? Is it tied in with any other kind of activity?
No, there's refreshments.
Okay.
But that's about it.
All right.
Frankly, I haven't been to one of the movies. I've wanted to, but
Mhm.
I haven't been, so I don't know the specifics.
Okay, well, I think that, that people have an opportunity on Fridays to do that, and then they would find out more about it. So,
Right.
come on down, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And again, the newsletter tells what the movies are going to be, so it's a good source of information.
What is the phone number they should call in order to hook up with the newsletter?
I don't have it in my head. I
Okay,
should,
well, I'm
but
sure if you could Google it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you could look at the Friends Council on Aging,
Mhm.
and it would be there. Yeah.
Now, I had been to several activities that were run at the community center, and there was a fellow that was doing military history, which was quite interesting. I was wondering if there were any other lecture series that were sponsored by the Friends.
There were, and they haven't started up yet, but I know they're actively thinking about that. I know those, and I appreciated those talks, like you mentioned, on military history. And there was someone that put it on once a month that was very knowledgeable.
He was great.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
did well, yeah. And then I don't think it'll return, but the men's breakfast has been good with a speaker too. And I hope that'll key up again soon. It's off the record. I have to say that with a little bit of a smirk, because I hosted as a talk 3 or 4 men's breakfasts.
And what did you talk about?
My background was in marine work, sonar and diving and all, and the talks I gave ranged from shipwrecks around New England to recovering some of the marine disasters.
And why
such
did
as
the Andrea Doria sink?
when
No, why did it sink?
why did it collision? And I've been out on that. I haven't been diving on it, but
Okay.
I've looked at it with sonar. It's starting to collapse.
Well, I
out
would
there.
think so.
Yeah.
Salt water does a job on everything.
It
Of course,
sure does.
distilled water does too, because it's, no minerals, so it's hungry, looking for all those minerals to absorb.
Right. But it's amazing how quickly you get the collapse in ocean water versus something like the Great Lakes, where you can go back and see wrecks from the early 1800s
Well,
intact.
I'm reminded of the USS Constitution, which is old Ironsides, and there are many wooden hulks that seem to last longer underwater than the newer steel hull versions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the most significant dive that you went on, in your opinion?
I was thinking of that recently because I thought I retired from talking, and I'm giving a talk at the Marion Council on Aging in November.
Marion,
On-
okay.
in Mari-
That's where my aunt lives, yeah.
Well,
I'll tell her about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
My family on the mother's side is from Marion, and hence I got into it. But in that regard, I can think of 2 things that were really interesting. One, you remember, I think, maybe when the Queen Elizabeth II ran aground off Cutty Hunk on the entrance to Vineyard Sound. And I was coming home from New Hampshire, and I got a call, and this is what happened with me in shipwreck searching. We got well known, so we were started to be called on things. So like 747, the aircraft, major disasters with that. But coming back, the QE2 was in the dry dock in Boston, in Quincy, actually. And I said I'd like to look at the damage and say I got permission to do so, and somebody from the bridge gave me his Wellington boots, and I was able to go down into the dry dock and under the QE2. And not a dive quite, but I remember the keel and these huge blocks of wood holding up the keel and all, and I thought, okay, I want to see the other side. Do I go out and around the vessel, or do I go under the keel, which means I've got to bend down? So, I mean, this is just mentally, and I said, I'll never get another chance. So I went under the QE2. All I could think of is squash, But the other thing that was really intriguing to me, and I almost shudder when I think of it, is we were working in Pearl Harbor in 1990 looking for the Japanese submarine that was shot by the USS Ward.
I remember that. I read about it at the time, yeah.
Yeah, it's the first shot the U.S. fired against the Japanese in World War II. And the park archaeologist asked me what I was doing tomorrow, and I said, nothing. He said, you're coming with me, we're going diving. And he said, you're one of the very few civilians that will have the pleasure of diving, I guess it's pleasure, on the USS Arizona. So I
must have been quite an experience. I remember how emotional I was when I went on the Arizona.
Yes.
And there was a Doherty that was sunk with the Arizona, a fellow named George Doherty. I don't think it was a relation, but it really brought it home to me in a way that I couldn't imagine. But anyway,
I've got one more thing to say about the Arizona, especially when you mentioned the Doherty being there, and that is that I don't think those inside the hull suffered, because of the huge explosion in the #1 magazine. I think they were unconscious immediately and probably never woke up.
Okay. Well, let's get it back to the Friends of the Council on Aging.
Yes.
What kind of a takeaway would you want to have folks have right now on the council, on the Friends?
On the Friends, I think to recognize it as an organization looking for volunteers who always look for participation. Volunteers in the food pantry. In fact, I checked before coming here. Last month, I think 10 volunteers put in, 17 volunteers put in 10 hours.
Wonderful.
Each. And that makes a big difference. And other volunteers, sometimes if there's a craft show or something else, helping out there as far as registering.
So volunteers are
that's one.
welcomed, important, and the other?
The other. And also, I have a little problem in that I think the food pantry is really important. I don't mean to diminish that at all, but the Friends do a lot more than the food pantry. So that's the other.
In order to find out about that, they should volunteer or go down to the community center, hook up with the Friends, and find out about that.
Yes.
Arnold, I appreciate your coming, and I want to hope that folks are paying attention that there are many opportunities to participate in the life of Bourne and the Friends and the Council on Aging. So with that, I want to thank the viewers for watching. I'm Bill Doherty, and this has been a production of Bourne TV.